All right, we're going to talk a bit about reading reports. Reports tell you just about everything about someone's base. If you know how to read them, you can determine what level of technology they've researched, where they've set their talent tree, what kind of troops they have, how many they have, how big they are, how strong they are. So let's go through a few of the elements here and start off by looking at the reports. Most of us look at these reports, and the beginning of this is very obvious: who it is, where they're located, the resources they have. Then you start getting into the troops. When you open up this part under troops, there's a lot of very good detailed information here. First is a review about their heroes. As you notice on the right hand side, you have their badges. This guy has all blue badges with one purple badge. You can see on the left the talent skills, if he's upgraded those. Most of those look like they're upgraded except that last one there. And maybe even one on the first one. So this would imply to me that they don't have, a lot of, there's not a lot of spending going on, as the gears right now are super, super duper cheap for hero gears. And then the last one is the troops and the troop makeups, how they're building up their troops. And as you can see here, they have P3 troops, but only for the infantry, and P2 for everything else. So that would tell me that this base is a P3 base, but only partially upgraded. So they're not really full P3. Based on the gears listed above here, with the purple and the blue gears, and depending upon what they're using this base for, if they're fillers and they don't need the gears and they're sending the troops in to be someone else's troops in a rally or something, then this is perfectly fine. You don't need a whole lot of gears. If they're trying to attack themselves or defend themselves, you can see from those blue and purple gears, their stats are going to be relatively low. And there was a lot of money spent on getting to P3, when in reality that's where their weakness is right there, is those gears. Now, those are not the only gears that matter, because you have to look at the chief gears also. And so let's get into a few more things here. Let's look at technology. Max technology on the bottom half of this is 111, I think it is, around 111, 112. This says that they're at 75 and 87, which tells me they are probably close to, the last level is 36. Let me kind of give you an idea, kind of show you what I mean by that. So if we go into the research building, and we go way over to the right on the research, put this one, let's look at this shields here. This one is 36% for health on the last one. And if we go back one, it is also 36% on lethality. And just here to the left is 36% for defense, and 36% for attack. Now this applies to each of the three equally. So you have at the top your infantry, in the middle your hunters, and at the bottom your riders. Why in God's name in some places they put the riders at the bottom and some places they put them in the middle, I don't know. But they do. In here, the middle is your hunters, and the bottom is your riders. So it is kind of puzzling why they would do that, but they have done it. Then you take a look at, so when you're looking at these reports from someone and you see this here, this tells you at least 36 off of being maxed, with the exception of infantry attack there at 90%. That one's only about 20% off. So that tells you that their research is probably somewhere at the beginning of the 6th level. So that means 5th level. I would consider this about 5th level complete, because you got some 87s and 90s, which are going to put you at the beginning of that 6th level, or just at the beginning. The 75 is going to put you at the end of those 5th levels. So that tells you that. Then your talents are here at the bottom. As you can see here, his talents are not very good, as that you don't have a lot of points to allocate through your talent tree, and therefore you don't see a whole lot. Whereas if you look at someone who has a lot more talents, you will see that they are a whole lot more to select from. So all of these things are very important when you're reading this report. You want to take a look at and basically get a baseline for where you are when you're attacking. And I use a good simple baseline for me is that if anyone has T9s, I don't worry about how many they have. If they have plasma 3 or below, then I look at about responding with about 10 to 15% infantry. Now this means that if I can limit the number of infantry, then it allows me to limit the risk of other people joining my rallies. So start off here, look at what they have for gears, and then look at what they have for infantry, see what kind of infantry they have compared to yours. Remember the base comparison of infantry, this is what all those percentages are about. So when it says down here, for example, 38%, or let's use the 90%, the one below it says infantry plus 90%. So that means it's going to be 90% on your base infantry scale. So here he's got P3s. The way to look at this is when you go look at P3s under the infantry, whoops, we're going to do it, I think it's over here, details. When you look at P3s here, the base attack is 14. So if you have 1,000 units, it's going to be 14,000 attack. If you add 90% to that, that means that you're adding 90% of that number to it, and it directly relates. So increasing this from a P3 to a P5, as you can see here, increases your attack from 14 to 15, making everything start with 1 point more. And in reality, that comes down to about probably 7 or 8% more attack power right off the bat. Add it before you start adding all your bonuses and your percentages and your stats and stuff. So this is just the very beginning of understanding the stats. Give me some feedback below on the pieces that I'm missing, and I'll go through and fill in how we can read a little bit better. I want to get you to the point where you can look at a report and determine if you are going to win or lose, clearly if you're going to win or lose. And then second of all, if you're going to, when you look at the other person's base, so you can determine if you can win or lose. But second of all, determine how much infantry you should send, and if it's going to be a rally, you get it to where you can have minimal losses, because that, believe it or not, I can actually perform rallies nowadays on opponents and tell everyone how much infantry to send. And a lot of times I can tell them to send 0 infantry so that only my infantry takes the brunt of the fight and they lose no units at all. It's a very mathematical kind of game, but you can do it with getting some great estimates and at least know you're going to win and by how much you're going to win. And that's kind of the goal here, is to not get it to where you can pinpoint exact numbers, but get it to where you get it in the right neighborhood. And when you look at these reports, you understand what you're seeing and can find out what you're doing. Now, when you go into a report on something like this, it tells you some additional information. So when you attack somebody, it's commonly when I start RR, I just go out and hit a couple of their P3s, P4s, and P5s. I know I'm going to lose some of them, and I'm going to win some of them. What it tells me is something like this. When I hit this guy, immediately I know how strong he is. I get to see his gears, his chief gears, which you can see here, and you cannot see that on a scout, which is really important. You get to see his chief gears. You get to see his badges, all gold badges, no red badges. I get to see his, and basically, then I get to look at his stats too. His stats all added up and determine where each one of these come from. But this information here, in addition to his troop information, this information here is all included in that scout report that we looked at earlier. It's just not all pre-calculated for you. So you have to do a little calculation to determine it. So it's easy to see it side by side like this, where I'm looking at, okay, I have the same heroes. I have my hero gear here at the top is better than theirs. And I come to the chief gear, my chief gear is better, my badges are better. It's obvious that my stats are going to be a little bit better. And as we get down here, that's exactly what's happened. My stats are a little bit better, and he takes a pretty good hit. But being able to know that beforehand is what's important. That's where we're going to walk to. It may take a couple of different videos to get there. And comment below, subscribe and like, and we'll talk about it next time.